thank you all for joining. The intent for today is to quickly sort of like run you through what Jove is, how Jove can be of help, and make sure that you're leaving this hour equipped to sort of get your hands dirty in the tool. And so before we get started, let me just quickly give an introduction of who I am. I am Lauren Nuss. I am the head of customer success at Jove, and I've been with the company for a little over 3 years now. And Jory is also joining the call. He is on the product team at Jove, and he is going to be, hey Jory, he's going to be our handy dandy moderator for this webinar. One of the unfortunate sort of cons of webinars is that all participants are muted, but we really want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions, drop the question into the chat. Jory will let me know and I will respond to it and make sure that you're getting all the information that you need. So with that, let me go ahead and quickly share my screen, and we're going to go through a quick just sort of introduction to Jove. So like I said, who Jove is, why is it important to do the things that Jove helps you to do. Then we're going to dive into the product. I'm going to walk you through and demo our solutions for you. And then we're going to make sure that we have time for Q&A and then walk through next steps. So Jove, who is Jove and what is Jove? So Jove is a relatively new brand. However, the solutions that we're offering you are not new. We began developing these solutions about 3 or 4 years ago for our sister agency. And what we were setting out to do was we were attempting to productize our agency's philosophy of growth. And that philosophy is learning fueled scale, or really just simply putting things out there, testing things in the market, looking at that data and responding to that data intelligently. And that is what Jove is attempting to solve for, is allowing you to test and learn at scale and to drive the results that you're looking for. And so why are we focusing on testing and learning? According to super sciencey sources, the experience that you have as a marketer, the years of experience you have under your belt, the size of your team, the size of your budget, does not improve your ability to predict what's going to happen in the market. You truly have no idea. We are not mind readers. And so that is why we're focusing on testing and learning. And that is why that is Jove's mission. So bear with me quickly. I'm gonna run through a very quick sort of exercise to kind of get us all in the same mind space before we dive into Jove. So here we go. So these are 3 Facebook ads. These Facebook ads were actually run by our agency. And we're going to test our ability to ourselves to see if we can actually predict what's going to win. So in your mind, think 1, 2, or 3. It's actually 1. So number 1 was the winner, and you might have even gotten lucky. These are 3 separate concepts. They're kind of big swings. You might have guessed right. This one's a little bit harder. They took the first concept and they're beginning to dive into, okay, let's tweak this concept and see if we can drive even better performance. And actually 3 was the winner. And so what this is telling us is that really subtle changes can drive really material differences in performance. So again, all the more reason to test and to learn. And this is the last one, so bear with me. How about this one? These are all completely identical. And so what that's telling us is it's not just about the creative. We focus in on the creative because the creative is important. It is the touch point with our consumer. And by unpacking that touch point, we can learn a lot. But there are so many other variables that play that we have no control over. There's audience targeting, there's campaign targeting, there's competitive context. Maybe a new agency has entered the market. There's consumer sentiment. Maybe moods have shifted. Maybe your target audience woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or maybe it's 2020 and the world is completely upside down. What this is telling us is because there are so many uncontrollable variables, because so much is outside of our control, those who are successful are those that can look at their data and respond to that data intelligently. And they're testing what they think that they know to be true, or maybe what they even knew to be true at one point because things are constantly changing. So you have to constantly change. And so that is a very quick run through of what Jove is really trying to do. Jove is enabling you to challenge your assumptions, to test your assumptions, and to follow the data. And the way that we're doing that is by building individual solutions that sort of allow you to build this cyclical feedback loop. We have solutions that enable you to plan, set a goal, organize your data, gather your assets, and then test, go to market with those assets that you've planned against, iterate, look at that data, respond to that data, figure out what to do next, and then scale, basically rinse and repeat, go through the entire process again and make sure that you're spending your money efficiently and getting as much for your money as you possibly can. And so what we're going to run through are all of these tools that map back to that individual sort of cyclical feedback loop. What we're going to run through is tags, which fall squarely in plans. Tags basically allows you to organize your data. It's a really powerful tool. We're going to run through Publisher, which is a tool that allows you to generate multiple ad variants and publish those variants across all of your Facebook campaigns. Insights, which is a visually forward reporting tool. Reports, get your hands on the raw data. Everyone loves raw data. And then we're also going to run through budgets. And budgets is a sort of central spend console that allows you to see where your money is going. Is that money efficient? Should you make adjustments to your budget and where you're spending your budget? And then we're going to go ahead and make adjustments to that. Anything you're seeing in gray here is more of a teaser. These are solutions that we're currently working on, and they will be available to you as we release them. So with that, I am going to quickly stop sharing my screen and then pivot over to our actual tool. And then let me share my screen one more time. Okay. All right, so now that we all know sort of what Jove is setting out to do and what Jove is helping us to accomplish, let's actually dive into the tools. This is our Jove homepage, and don't fret, this is a fictitious brand. Glance Sunglasses is a made-up brand, and all the data is made up. This just serves a purpose to allow us to sort of explore what the tool does. And so, like I said, we have tags, budgets, insights, reports, and publisher. So we're going to start with tags because that really is the creme de la creme of what our tool does. It's the backbone that enables you to go out there and test and learn whatever you might want. And so when you enter in our tags solution, you'll see that all of the images, videos, copy, landing pages, audience, and campaigns that you have connected to Jove are automatically pulled in and displayed here. What this then allows you to do is to apply custom variables to these individual assets that will then let you dissect your performance data, slice and dice that performance data to answer very specific questions. And I'll run you through what that process looks like. But first, let me run you through sort of what types of tags that we have. So we have automated tags, which are tags that are automatically applied to your assets as relevant. So, we've been in the market for a while. We know what ways to slice and dice your data actually enable you to take action. So think of things like aspect ratio, how many characters are in your copy? Is there an emoji? Is there not an emoji? How long is your video? So on and so forth. Those are automatically applied to all of your assets, and that allows you to get up and running immediately with tags. We have standard tags, which are tags that you can manually apply if you choose to do so. This is also tag groups and tag values that we have recommended, like audience type, campaign type. You can choose to apply them if you'd like, or you can choose to ignore them and move straight to custom tags, which is really where the magic happens, if you will. You can create tag groups and tag values across any of these, any asset level that matters most to your business and what you are trying to do. So let me now show you what it looks like to actually create and apply tags. So let's say we wanted to create a tag group at the campaign level. You just radio select campaign. And let's say we want this to be campaign effort. And maybe we want the first to be community giving. And perhaps we want the second to be community action. All I have to do is hit save, and automatically that tag is ready for me to apply. Well, I've already created that tag. So let's go to campaign. Let's actually begin to apply this tag now. So these are all the campaigns that we have associated with this account. Let's say these top 4 accounts, excuse me, I want to apply a tag to, or let's just do the top 2. So let's apply a tag, and I want to apply community action. I'll apply that tag. Now let's say I want to apply these last 4. I want to apply community giving. So now what that enables me to do is use all of our other solutions within Jove and slice the data to look at how did my community action campaigns differ from my community giving campaigns. One of the other really cool thing about tags, in my opinion, is no tag that you create is ever static or set in stone. If you, like me, are a frequent misspeller, you can come in, you can come to your custom tags. You can say, actually, I want this to be nope, not no. And I can save that. If that no tag has already been applied to assets, that corrected value will be retroactively applied to all of your assets. So what that flexibility also enables you to do is it enables you to answer questions today about campaigns and efforts that you've run in the past. So let's say, for example, that someone has come to you and they're asking you a question about background color. Do you have a hypothesis? Do you think that bold background colors outperform neutral background colors in social media? Maybe you haven't organized your campaigns or your names of your assets to allow you to answer that question. Well, with tags, that doesn't necessarily matter. You're not chained to those naming conventions. You can come in here, you can create a background color tag, you can apply it to all of your images and videos, and then you can look at that data and answer that question today. You don't have to run a future campaign in order to assess that data and answer that question. Your ability to slice and dice your past data is quite unlimited. It's just wherever your imagination will take you. And so that is tags. If any of you have any questions, again, feel free to chat. Jory will raise his hand and let me know. But if you don't have any questions, I'm just gonna kind of keep powering through, and we're gonna go and look at insights. So all I did was come up here, and I can automatically pivot to insights. And so what insights is, if we're thinking again about that, plan, test, iterate, scale, insights kind of falls between iterate and scale, if you will. What insights is it is a visually forward reporting tool that aggregates your creative concepts at a concept level and not an individual ad level. And so what that enables you to do is figure out where to invest creatively and what concepts outperform other concepts and what type of asset should I continue to produce to drive results that I want at scale. You can then use our reporting tool to dive into the individual instances of that ad, but aggregating at the concept level really empowers you to answer broader, higher level, impactful questions. And so let's now sort of dive into the functionality of the Insights tool. So what this is doing is it is, again, aggregating all of your performance data, and it's giving you what we're calling, this is sort of like our default tile view. So it's going to default to the last 14 days, and it's going to rank your creative concepts in descending order by what spent the most. So that allows you to quickly come in here and say, okay, this ad has spent the most, or this concept has spent the most. How has this concept compared against other concepts that have run during that same time period or within that same cohort? So you can quickly see it's interactive. If you hover over any videos, those videos play for you. And then what you can also see is down here, it's showing you sort of top line metrics or performance indicators. And then it's giving you the actual value of those performance indicators. And it's also saying how this individual concept compared against the average of this filtered view. So at the top here, you have the average spend, average click-through rate, average CPA or cost per acquisition, an average return on ad spend or revenue generated from these individual ads. And then this is saying, okay, this individual concept was 9% better than other concepts during this time period. This one was 10% lower, this one 94% higher, this one 14% higher. So again, it's giving you the ability to quickly sort of understand contextually how this is performing and then react to that performance as well. But you're not just sort of tied to this default view. You can come in here and say, okay, I actually want ads from the last year. I want to narrow this view to copy that contains Sunnies. And you can, apply as many filters as you'd like. You can apply actual, text filters. You can even come in here, and all of the tags that you've applied in that tag module are now available for you to pivot against. So let's say, for example, I want to come in here and do community giving. So let's say, are there any Sunnies ads that ran in my recently tagged community giving campaign? They're stack ranked in spend order. And then I can also now pivot over to this comparative plot view. And what this is doing is this is quadranting out the performance with spend on this axis and CPA, or cost per acquisition, on this axis. And it's letting you know, it's organizing sort of your concepts in quartiles, if you will. And so here you can see, okay, this one has spent the most money, and it is actually allowing me to acquire new users or drive whatever intent or action I'm looking for, the most efficient spend. This is my strongest performing ad. This is where I should continue to invest. How can I continue to develop concepts that look just like this? I can also come in here and just say, maybe I don't care about spend. Maybe I care about click-through rate against CPA, or maybe I care about click-through rate against ROAS. I can change those metrics, and my filtered view is automatically going to adjust. And so that is the gist of Insights. And even though we do have another reporting tool named Reports, what this is essentially allowing you to do is it's breaking you from having to look at things in tabular form, or it's breaking you from having to dissect an individual sort of CSV and try to understand or spot trends. By looking at things in this view, or looking at the actual designs, you're able to say, okay, actually, so Sunnies, community giving, I'm seeing that, if we're actually showing humans, if there's humans in the ads, these are actually performing a little bit better. So maybe now I want to come in here and apply a tag on the fly and start tagging my on model or human in ad, and I can look at my performance that way now. So this is really a reporting tool that allows you to trend spot in real time and apply tags in real time to enrich further analysis. And again, questions, don't hesitate to blow up Jory. He's dying to interrupt me. So I'll just keep moving through. So we went through tags, we went through insights. Now let's go to budgets. This is a little bit of a pivot. And budgets, again, if we're thinking about our plan, test, iterate, scale, budgets falls in the scale category. And the reason that budgets falls into scale is because it's really allowing you to understand where your money is going and make the smartest decision with your money. You can test, you can iterate, you can learn all day long, but if you aren't spending your money in the right way, you're not going to be able to continue to test and to iterate and to learn. So this is really critical to what you're doing and the decisions that you're making on a daily basis. And so what budgets is allowing you to do is to create custom line items within a budget that matter most to whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to understand. So let's quickly just run through the default view of budgets, and then I can run you through creating a budget as well. So this is, faux data, but this is our September campaign type budget. All of the budgets that exist here, you can access via a dropdown. And what this is showing you is the total budget amount. We had 300K. We spent 61,000. We had pretty significant remaining budget, and we spent about 2,000 per day. As you run down this budget view, you get a more granular understanding of how that budget performed, and in real time, how you should react when you have this data. So the total budget was 300K. But in this instance, we decided to break our budget down by audience type. So retargeting, versus remarketing versus prospecting, because that is how we care to look at the data. So here you can see, okay, what is my total budget? What was the average spend of that budget? And then what was the average daily remaining budget? And these two columns are quite important. So let's say, for example, you have a $50,000 budget for remarketing, your average daily spend is 500, but in order to hit your 50K budget, you have to spend, making this up, mental math is not my strong suit, 10,000 a day with whatever time frame is remaining in your budget. That's a really quick way to understand you're not going to get there unless you made some pretty significant adjustments. So by looking at this view of your average daily spend versus your daily budget, you can quickly assess, do I need to make a change, and how aggressive of a change should I make? If you're looking for a little bit more context about this line item, you can pivot over here to your targets. So what this is showing you is just spend versus the budget that you've set. And then this is an additional view that is showing you sort of the efficiency of that spend, or how well is that money being spent. So here you can see, we've set a $5 acquisition target for our retargeting campaigns, meaning that we don't want to spend more than $5 to acquire someone within these campaigns. $8 here and $10 here. So you can quickly see if you're over target, if you're under target, and that will provide additional context in figuring out how you should respond if you are over or under budget. For example, let's say you are significantly over budget for one of your line items, but you come over to your target versus actual and you see, well, I'm under target. So that means I'm overspending in this line item, but I'm overspending and that money is being spent really, really well. So maybe I don't want to stop spending. Maybe I actually want to shift money from one line item to the more efficient line item. This view is enabling you to do that. And then if you keep scrolling down, it gets more and more granular. So what this is showing you is it's showing, okay, of that $300,000 that I've spent or sent for the month, how am I pacing on a daily basis? So this light blue bar or this darker blue bar is showing you the budget target, and this lighter blue bar is showing the actual spend of that target. If you were to go overspend or over budget, there would be a bar here that was showing you that you were going over budget. So summary performance, how are the line items performing? And then how are those line items performing on a daily basis? And again, giving you multiple layers of your budget and understanding of your budget so that you can respond appropriately. So this is the budget homepage, but what if we wanted to create a new budget? It's a simple 3-step wizard. So let's say I want this to be campaign effort October. I can enter a description if I want. This is a budget. It defaults to a month, but you can set quarters, years, whatever you want as your date range. Let's say I want, $10,000 for my total budget. And I have a drop down here that allows me to pick a KPI or an efficiency target that will populate that second contextual view under the summary. I personally care about CPA. So again, how much is it costing me to acquire a user? And I want that target to be $10. Here, I happen to have a Google account and a Facebook account linked, and it's going to default to select all of my accounts. Let's say for whatever reason I only want Facebook, I could deselect Google, or I could deselect Facebook. I want both, so I'm going to leave them selected, and I'm going to move to the next step. So this is where you have the ability to set your line items or to customize your structure. So I want to select event focus. I just recently tagged my campaigns. I know I have the ability to create a budget in that way, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit event focus. And now I get to allocate that budget. So let's say I want 5,000 for awareness. I want 5,000 for community action. Oh, whoops, that equals 10. I actually want this to be 13,000. I can adjust that here, and then I can put the remaining 3,000 in here. What I can also do is select different KPIs for different efforts. So I have this awareness group here. I actually care about CPM or cost per 1,000 impressions. And I'm going to change this to $2. Just because I've selected one structure, or this is the way that I'm choosing to structure my budget, does not mean that I'm limited in how I can track the efficiency of the individual line items. So now I can just hit create budget, and that budget is created. Since this is a faux account, we don't have data populating on a daily basis, but as I were to come back in every day of October, I would see all of this information adjust and populate. And I'd be able to make decisions and react to where I'm spending according to the budget here. One other thing worth noting is once a budget expires, if you will, or let's say, you know, I've set this October budget, come November 1st, this budget doesn't go away. I can reference this budget in the future. Let's say I'm trying to plan October 2021's budget. I can look back at October 2020's budget, look at the performance, see how certain line items performed against each other, and then set a more intelligent budget in October 2021 using that past data. So that is budgets. Now what we have left is reports and publisher. So I'm going to pivot over to publisher, which is another little change of pace. So again, if we're thinking back to the plan, test, iterate, scale, publisher falls squarely between test and iterate. And the reason being is this is a tool that syncs with Facebook's ad manager, and it's taking the most painful parts of Facebook ad manager and making them not painful. For anyone who has spent time in Facebook's ad manager, you know that you could spend hours upon hours upon hours just creating ads and publishing ads. Because what Facebook ad manager forces you to do is do one thing at a time. And that is really not a good way to spend your time. You have data to analyze, you have decisions to make. You don't need to be spending all day just creating and publishing ads. And so what Publisher does is it breaks you from having to do that thing one at a time. And it allows you to generate multiple ad variants at a time and publish them across all of your campaigns in one click if you would like to. So let's just quickly run through what that process looks like. So we're going to go to Create Creatives, and this is our creative generation workflow. So I want to create an ad creative. If I wanted to create a page post, I could do that as well, but I'm going to choose the default ad creative. I want this to be a conversion campaign. So essentially what that means is I want this individual ad to allow me to do a specific thing on Facebook and measure that specific thing, like a add to cart or a purchase or a newsletter sign up or anything that is trackable on my website. I want it to be a single image or video. I'm going to go in here now and select all my images. So I want this image, I want this image, I want this image. I also like this, and you know, I want to throw a video in there as well. Let's do this fun water video. So I'm selecting that. You can see all of the image and video variants there. And now I want to input my copy. I can even tag my copy here if I'd like as well. And I want a couple copy variants. I want test 2, test 2, test 2. For my landing page, I want glance.com. I can also add in hi.com. I can tag my landing pages here in the workflow. And I also get to select my call to action. So let's say I want to download now and a sign up. Or actually, no, I want to shop now. All of those selections that I've made equate to 40 creatives in just one single workflow. I can come up here and deselect options if I want, and as I do that, that number of expected creatives goes down. So as I hit generate, it's going to work its magic, and now 10 creatives have been generated. Once I go to the ad creatives, which is our library, all of the ads that I recently generated are right here. I can come in here, I can preview the ad, I can tag the creative itself, I can duplicate it, or let's say I made a mistake, I can delete it, no problem. Well, now I want to publish these. So let's publish these 5 ads. I'm going to come in here and select my campaign objective. Knowing that I just created ads that were meant to drive conversions, I'm going to come up here and say, I want to publish these into conversion campaigns. As I hit create, what this now does, it takes all of my conversion campaigns and gives me the options for me to publish it into. I can expand these campaigns and I can look at the individual ad sets that live within those campaigns. I can make publishing decisions at the ad set level, at the full campaign level, or I can just select all. For this instance, I want to select all of the ad sets under this prospecting campaign, and I want to select maybe just this ad set in this remarketing campaign. So I've selected my campaigns or ad sets, and now I hit next. And now all I'm doing is configuring how I actually want this to publish. 3 simple options. Dark posts will be the default. This is best practice, and this is why it says recommended. Essentially what this is doing is it's aggregating all of the comments, all of the likes of these ads, so that Facebook recognizes this as a highly engageable ad and increases its opportunity to serve. I also have the ability to just create the ads, as in within Jove, I just want to basically tee these ads up within a campaign to be published later, or I can create ads and publish, which is what I recommend doing. It saves you time, and you even have control as to how you want that to publish. So let's say you're prepping tonight for ads that you want to go live tomorrow. I can create and publish them, but I want to publish them in a pause state. I can go ahead and do that. For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to create them. And now I'm going to publish, or I'm going to generate 20 ads in 4 ad sets. I hit create, and it's going to go ahead and do all of that work for me. If you were to try to do this in Ads Manager, it would have taken you a very, very long time. And so again, this is just freeing you up to make better decisions and to look at your data and not have to waste all of your time, generating ads and publishing your ads. While this is generating, one additional thing that I want to call out and I got a little notification saying that it published successfully. One of the things that is also kind of a pain in Facebook's Ad Manager is inputting and inserting your custom URL parameters or UTM parameters. If any of you use Google Analytics, it can be a very powerful tool. It's a free tool. A lot of people use it, but it's really challenging to ensure that the URL parameters associated with your ad are as relevant as possible. And again, within Facebook, every time you create an ad, you have to go in, you have to manually input the URL parameters that you want associated with that ad. Within Jove, you can dynamically create tracking parameters. So let's say I want UTM campaign and ad set ID. I can come in here and I can create dynamic options that are associated, that will be published and associated with the ads that I choose to generate and publish through Jove. So what that means is I've created those 20 ads, I've published those 20 ads. Once those ads are published to Facebook, UTM parameters will automatically pull in the campaign name it's published within. It'll automatically pull in the asset name if you choose to have that represented in your URL parameters, and you don't have to do any work. It knows where you're publishing, and it will assign a URL or a UTM parameter that makes sense based on where you published it. So again, that's just a huge time savings, in my opinion, having lived a past life of a social media manager. So that is publisher. So we've gone through tags, we've gone through insights, publisher, budgets. Now we're going to go to reports. And reports is just that. As I mentioned, it puts your hands on the raw data. Everyone loves raw data. You can slice and dice your data in ways that maybe insights might not allow you to. So what this allows you to do is create dashboards, which are essentially just a collection of reports. So if I were to click into common reports, which is the dashboard that has already been created, you can see all of these individual reports live within this dashboard. And these dashboards are automatically updated every evening as new data flows in. So you'll always have the latest data at your fingertips. But let me walk you through what creating a new dashboard looks like. So let's say, okay, nonprofit demo. This is a demo. Let's just do demo and save. Now that this is saved, I have the ability to add a report. So the beauty of this is it's really fast, and you don't have to be a CSV or Excel expert to get really insightful reports and charts. So let's just say that I know that I want daily spend. I come here and I click spend. And let's say I also want, no, I just want to show my spend. If I wanted to add an additional dimension, which I will show you in a second, we can do that. I just want spend. I'm going to go to filters. I want this to just show me September. And then I'm going to come in here to visualization. So I want to show daily spend. It's going to default to time series. Time series just means trend. I want to show a trend. If I wanted to show it weekly, I could do that. If I had selected more than October, I could do monthly, quarterly, or yearly. But I want daily, and I just want a table. And I want my spend to be a bar. If I wanted it to be a line, I could do that. And I can even come in here and say that I want my bar to be blue. Oops, I selected the wrong thing. So I want a chart. Run report. Thankfully, you have your ability to wait to save a report to ensure that you didn't make any mistakes like I just did. And I want to save this report, and now I can see my daily spend. Let's say I want to add another report. I come in here, let's say I want to do add, can't spell. I want more metrics than just that chart above. I want spend, I want impressions, I want click-through rate, I want revenue and CPM. Oh, I actually want CPM to be right behind impressions. That makes sense. For my dimensions, I can choose as many dimensions as I want, but I just want add type. I again want just September. However, I can choose as many filters as I want. I can filter by tag group, by value, by copy contained within an ad if I want to, but for the sake of this, I just want to show all of the data in September. And now I want to make a visualization. So I don't want a time series chart. I don't want a trend. I just want to show the different ad types compared against each other. So that's going to be a category. That essentially means there is no time that is going to be displayed either in this chart or in this table. And what I find to be extremely valuable is I'm going to simultaneously create a chart and a table. So that means that I'll have two things generated with this one workflow. However, I can be more specific about what I want my chart to show. So I want my table to be super detailed, but I want my chart to be simple. And so I basically want to hide impressions. I want to hide CPM. And I want to hide click-through rate. I want my spend to be a bar, and I dig this color. But I want my revenue to be a line, and I want that line to be something bold. I'm going to make it this sort of like lighter green. And I'm going to run my report. So now what I did is I created a chart, which is spend, which is the bar, and then my revenue, which is the line. And then I simultaneously created a chart that provides more context to this table. So I can quickly see, okay, these are how my ad types are performing. But if I wanted a little bit more detail to sort of supplement this chart, I could do that. And I can save it. And it really is as simple as that. There is no limitation to how many charts you can create, and there's no limitation to how many dashboards you can create. And again, as you are applying tags, as new data is coming through, these visualizations and these charts are automatically going to be updated. And that is Jove in a nutshell. I know that we ran through a lot of information. Don't think that you have to be a Jove expert come the end of this call. Really, we wanted to run through each of these solutions and make sure that when you enter the Jove platform, you're oriented, you know where to go, and you know sort of how to get started and how to extract value right away. So with that, it is time for Q&A and then sort of just like walking through next steps. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat and I will be happy to answer them. And as Jory sort of shared already, this is recorded, so don't feel the need to take copious notes. We'll share this recording out and you can rewatch on your couch with your cats and dogs later if you'd like. But I do have some prepared questions that I frequently get in demos, and so I'm happy to run through those. But again, if you have any questions, just drop them in. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I can run through some of these frequently asked questions. And Jory, I can't see the chat, so if there is a question, just unmute yourself and interrupt me. So these are the 5 most common questions I get in every demo. 1, doesn't your approach to testing need to be extremely structured? The word testing can often be scary, and it means that you have to be super scientific in everything that you do. And the reality is, no, it does not need to be structured whatsoever. The only thing that does need to be structured and clean is your data. And that is what tags is enabling you to do. Tags allows you to apply values at each and every asset within your entire campaign structure. And so you can go out and you can run all the ads that you want and be able to cleanly understand your data at the end of the day. And also, there is a time and a place for extremely structured tests, but as we sort of talked through earlier, there are so many uncontrollable variables at play in the market. You could run the most structured test and you can't control for every single variable. So your best foot forward is just to make sure that your data is really cleanly organized and that you can understand what's coming in so that you can respond to it and respond to it fast. Another one that I often get is, how much money do you need in order to quote unquote test? The glance data, again, is completely fictitious. It's made up. And in reality, you can test with $2, you can test with $2 million. If you are running 2 ads, if you are running 2 messages, if you are running 2 audiences, that is an ability to learn. You compare A against B. So you don't need to have super deep pockets. You don't need to be super experienced or well-versed in the marketing world in order to learn something and to move forward intelligently. And I would even argue that if you're only running with $2, that is when you actually need to test the most. You need to make sure that those $2 are being spent as efficiently as possible. There is very little room for error. And so you can get started testing regardless of how much money you're putting behind your efforts. Another question I often get is, what ad platforms does Jove support? So it's a 2-part question. So right now we automatically connect to Facebook, also inclusive of Instagram, Google, so search, shopping, YouTube, display, and anything that lives under Bing as well. We can automatically connect to those ad accounts and automatically pull that data in. And that data will be refreshed twice a day and every evening. So you will always have data up to the last 12 hours. However, we also know that while those platforms are very, very popular, those aren't the only platforms. And so you can, in budgets, for example, manually input data to make that spend console as robust and as informative as possible. So maybe you're running an ad in a newspaper, or maybe you are running podcast ads. You can go in and say, this is how much I spent on my podcast ads. This is sort of the return that I saw. And all of that will be sort of beautifully visualized within our reports console. And we are constantly looking to expand our purview of supported ad channels. So if you have a channel that you're really active on and you think that, that's something that we should look into ingesting automatically, raise your hand, let us know. That's the kind of feedback that we want to hear. We want to know what is important to you. And then the last 2 questions. So who do I reach out to if I have questions? That would be me and the rest of my team. So after we sort of part our ways, we will be sending an email out with my email address, this recording, and sort of next steps. So I'm bleeding into the next question on how to get connected. Some of you might already have your credentials to log into Jove. Some of you might not. By the end of today, every single one of you will have access to Jove. And then I will reach out to each of you individually to make sure that we are getting your platforms connected. If you are running on Facebook, if you're running on Google, if you're running on Bing. And so what does those next steps look like? Like I said, you'll get your user credentials. I will work with you to connect your platforms. And then we will go ahead and ingest that data. We have about a 24-hour data ingestion period, and we will be ingesting the past 18 months of your data. So again, think back to automated tags. We will ingest 18 months of your data. We will automatically apply tags to any of your assets that might qualify. So copy length, CTA, is there an emoji, is there not an emoji, what is the aspect ratio, so on and so forth. And so you'll automatically be able to get learning, or you'll be able to start slicing and dicing your data using just those automated tags alone. yeah, so that is all that I really have prepared. If there are any questions, again, reach out to Jory. But if not, I'm happy to give you 10 minutes back, and you will be hearing from me personally very shortly with your user credentials, and then we'll walk through next steps on how to get you connected. Okay. Well, I really, really appreciate everyone's time today. I know that times are wild these days, but we are really excited to get you onto Jove, and we're really hoping that Jove can help you continue to do the very important work that you do. And do not be shy. Please reach out with any and all questions. I am here to help in any way that I possibly can. Okay. Well, again, thank you all, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Thursday. Bye, everyone.